Today on Rappler. President Marcos says the Philippines' return to the ICC is under study. Laila de Lima calls Rodrigo Duterte's positioning as the opposition pathetic. Sandiganbayan convicts Andal Ampatuan Jr of 21 counts of graft. Violent riots erupt in Dublin after a stabbing incident involving children. Hotel booking vouchers are no longer required to enter Boracay Island. Organizers of Taylor Swift's Rio Eras tour say they could have taken alternative actions. And Elijah Canlas confirms he and actress Miles Ocampo have broken up. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr says Friday, November 24, the return of the Philippines to the International Criminal Court is, quote, under study. In a media interview, Marcos says the government will just keep looking at the issue and see what the options are. Marcos also says it is not right for foreigners to dictate who will be investigated within the Philippines. Justice Secretary Boyeng Remulla earlier said the Philippine government's cooperation with the ICC needs serious study. Solicitor General Menardo Guevara earlier maintained the Philippines is not legally obliged to cooperate with the ICC. In contrast, the Supreme Court said the Philippines is obliged to cooperate with the ICC. The decision on whether the government will cooperate with the ICC lies with President Marcos. In an exclusive interview with Rappler, former Senator Laila de Lima calls former President Rodrigo Duterte's positioning as opposition pathetic.
And then here is Duterte, now offering himself to be the opposition. It's pathetic to me. It's a pathetic scene to me.
In his television program on November 8, Duterte said an opposition is essential to a democracy, adding mistakes of their government should be called out. But Duterte's words were inconsistent with how he treated dissenters during his term, who were frequently red-tagged, killed, or detained like de Lima. During the interview, de Lima also says she's not thinking about the politics, but that she does have a role to play.
But I do have a role. And my role is to continue portraying myself as someone who has been wronged and someone who can continue to inspire others to do what is right, to do what is just.
The Sandiganbayan convicts Andal Ampatuan Jr of over 21 counts of corruption on Thursday, November 23. The anti-graft court finds the former Dato Unsay town mayor guilty of graft related to anomalous procurement and ghost delivery of fuel for infrastructure projects in Maguindanao in 2008. Ampatuan is sentenced to up to 10 years of imprisonment for each count, with perpetual disqualification from holding public post. The former mayor is also ordered to pay the Maguindanao province 44.18 million pesos, subject to 6% annual interest until paid in full. The Sandiganbayan's verdict came on the 14th year of the commemoration of the Ampatuan massacre, where 58 people were killed, including 32 journalists. Andal, along with his brothers Zaldi and Anwar Jr., were found guilty of 57 counts of murder over the gruesome massacre. The stabbing of 3 young children sparks a night of rioting in Dublin city centre, leaving Irish police guarding looted stores and firefighters cooling down smoldering vehicles. Police blame far-right agitators for starting the violence. A small group of anti-immigrant protesters arrived at the scene of the stabbing along O'Connell Street and clashed with the police. It took officers several hours to regain control after the crowd grew to around 200 to 300 people. The Dublin Fire Brigade says firefighters continued to damp down a smoldering tram on O'Connell Street. Public transport has resumed, but with restrictions in the area. A 5-year-old girl was receiving emergency treatment after sustaining serious injuries in the stabbing. Police arrested a man in his late 40s, also being treated for serious injuries, and say they were not looking for any other suspects. Police say they have not ruled out any motive, including potential terrorist links. The Aklan provincial government relaxes restrictions for tourists coming to Boracay, lifting the hotel voucher requirement for entry to the world-famous resort island. This means hotels and lodging houses can now charge walk-in fees. The development comes after the business community expressed alarm over the low number of foreign tourists. Boracay Foundation Incorporated President Edwin Raimundo says the lack of foreign tourists coming to Boracay translates to lack of economic opportunities. Raimundo says the hotel voucher system is an added burden that turns off foreign tourists. 1.8 million tourists visited Boracay in 2023. 1.43 million were domestic tourists, 35,668 were overseas Filipino workers, and only 357,066 were foreign tourists. The 2023 figure shows there were 680,000 fewer foreign tourists than in 2019. Organizers of the Brazilian leg of Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour acknowledges they could have taken more measures to help fans cope with the extreme heat last week in Rio de Janeiro. T4F's statement follows a last-minute postponement of Swift's Rio performance last Saturday, November 18, due to record-breaking heat. 23-year-old Ana Clara Benavides, a fan, died in sweltering conditions during Swift's concert a day earlier. The extreme heat led the U.S. pop star to postpone her concert Saturday, just 2 hours before she was to go on stage. The heat index, which combines temperature and humidity, hit 59.3 degrees Celsius in Rio on November 17, before peaking at a record 59.7 degrees Celsius the following day. Swift is set to conclude the Brazilian leg of her tour with 3 sold-out concerts in Sao Paulo from November 24 to 26, which are also organized by T4F. Weather forecasters say those days are set to be cloudy, rainy, and have milder temperatures. Elijah Canlas admits he and actress Miles Ocampo have gone their separate ways. In a clip posted by News 5 Thursday, November 23, the actor shares he and Miles went through a rough patch recently as they both faced personal problems. He says while things have been difficult between the two of them, they are figuring things out. He then admits they had already broken up a couple months ago but are on good terms with each other. Elijah shares he's always going to love Miles and he's always going to support her in whatever she does. The former couple first shared the news of their relationship in May 2022, a year since they began dating. Elijah currently plays Archie in the drama television series Senior High. Miles is a regular host at the GMA Network noontime show Eat Bulaga. And that's today's wrap. I'm Nina Liu. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Rappler's YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok.